viewers, welcome to another episode of Niger Dog TV. On this channel, we are showcasing dogs that are owned in Niger and bred in Niger and beyond. Please do wait to subscribe to our channels on YouTube and other social media platforms at Niger Dog TV. My name is Dipsy Akinwale. I'll be hosting you today. Today we are at a dog kennel in Abuja, Lukogoma precisely. We are at Dogs All Kennel. I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Hi, my name is Victor. I'm the convener of Pulse Connect. It's a dog social club. We love dogs, we breed dogs, we train dogs, we have dogs. Keep watching Niger Dog TV, the #1 online TV program. Thank you.
My name is King Chaka, aka Chaka Smith. I run Dogs All Kennel. I also run a show about dogs. I have a YouTube channel. Um, my pets and I. What we do about on the show is to talk about the nitty-gritty of breeding, the do's and don'ts of breeding, and to add to my first statement of running the kennel. I run the kennel since 2012.
So, who state are you from? Are you Nigerian?
I'm a Nigerian, bona fide Nigerian. I'm from Kogi State.
Where are you from? Okay.
I'm from Burkina, but I grew up on the plateau. I'm born and bred in the plateau state.
Can you tell us when your love for dogs started?
I think I, I started loving dogs while I was a young kid. We had people who had wonderful dogs around us, and I always wanted to have a dog of my own. And then my first dog came um, when I was finishing primary school. I did very, very well, and my dad bought me a dog for a present.
Okay, almost everybody start from younger age. They start liking them. Almost everybody. So, when did you start breeding? When did you think of okay, let me go into breeding?
Um, my first dog that I bought with my money was after my secondary school. I had saved from my holiday work, and a friend of my mom's had a dog that gave birth. So I thought to buy one of the puppies, and that was the beginning for me. And that was in middle 2000.
So since then, did your parents they supported that? How did you get as a young man then? How did you get money to feed?
Well, the kind of home I come from, you're thought to be responsible. So you would have to provide for whatever decision you make. My dad made it so much that on vacation you'd have to work, and then even if you're not working outside the house, you have to earn money working in the house. So he taught us early to make money. So it was easy for me when I decided to go into reading. I fully went into reading in 2011.
Okay. This shout out to your daddy. I like that. Showing you how to make money, how to be responsible for yourself. With your money. This shout out to you. Another thing I want to ask is that how do you do your breeding program?
Well, I believe so much that the breeding business is viable in Nigeria, in Africa, and in Nigeria particularly. Um, I also believe in local content, in breeding as well. Even though I've had a few dogs that I imported, but I have had to contain myself within my locality, ensure that I'm getting the best from breeding, so to speak. For instance, I have come a long way, you know, um, breeding locally, and it's been fun. It's been fun.
So locally, what you mean that okay, you don't people around you, to your friend also? You have a female dog, you take to your friends, or how do you do that?
Okay, well, particularly I do GSDs, as German Shepherd dog, um, and the long coat specifically, and then I do Boerboel. South Africans call it Boerboel. Um, and then I do Canicoso, the Italian Mastiff. The Boerboel are the South African Mastiff, the South African version of the Mastiff family. Um, I first started with female of the Boerboel, and then I had male and female of GSD. When my female dogs come on heat and I don't have a male, I normally get the best of male dogs to meet my female. But my GSD, particularly, I ensured that I had both male and female. Choose who to mate with and who not to mate with. So basically, for convenience, I have male and female of each breed.
Hello, my name is Neria Moa. I'm a dog lover. I'm a dog breeder. Keep watching Nigeria Dog TV. Thank you.
Do you keep generation of your dog? Like keeping maybe when you give birth, you keep. How do you do it?
Well, in dog, people always misconstrued the term um, pure breed, mixed breed, and pedigree. You know, purebreds actually two same kind of families mating, and then the mixed breeds are two different dogs, two different species, or two different line of dogs mating. And then the pedigree is your ability to trace the bloodline of your dog. So for data sake and for posterity sake, I do um, pedigree in the sense that most of my dogs have gone through undergone a hip and elbow test, um, and then we have appraisals, and all that. So of course, that has helped me to be able to trace the generation of my dogs. Particularly my GSD, I've had like 4 or 5 generations of my GSDs, um, and then for the Boerboel too is same thing, and then the Boerboel organizations around Africa has helped us to be able to keep records, of generational breeding and downlines or bloodlines or pure bloodlines of our dogs. So of course, generationally, my dogs are in line and in check. So I can trace generations of my dogs.
Okay, what I mean is that you have a female. For example, now when your dog give birth, have you keep generations like when your dog give birth now, you keep one female, maybe you bred that again, you keep second
Exactly,
generation. You've done
exactly,
that. Like you say,
exactly.
you are up to you've bred 5 generations.
Yes, five
Wow, that
generations.
must be good, sir. Yeah. What was on the Bravo?
The Boerboel, I think we've had just 2 generations. Unfortunately, I'd have had more than that, but the first female Boerboel I had passed as a result of age. Before then, we had a challenge, her conceiving. You know, I think she originally had not been able to conceive for a very long time, but eventually we made success and she conceived. But unfortunately, she died from age-related issues.
Okay, sir. Talking about conception, I find that some people their dog are healthy medically and the rest, and these are purely bred dogs, and still they don't give birth. What do you think about that?
We have infertility in humans as well as in mammals, so that also is a part of infertility. But of course, like the human health has made breakthroughs with infertility in humans. We also, as breeders and of course some vet practitioners, have made breakthroughs as related to infertility in dogs. Um, the major challenge we have in identifying or solving that infertility issues in Nigeria is the fact that we don't have enough funds, and we don't have enough research institutes, to aid and help in solving those um, problems. But some of us local breeders have found a way, through our own personal researches and our own personal efforts, to curb infertility in our dogs.
Can you tell us more about the ways, one of the ways you found?
Okay, like I said, when you say research, research is a study. A study. You have to have records, you have to have data. You whatever your discoveries are, you keep data, and then you eventually follow those data to solve your problem. For instance, my burrow was with me for about 6 years, and we had problem of conception. So I went into research, and one of the things I discovered is that um, the kind of food that we feed most times are also part of the causes of infertility in dogs. So I had to change my line of feeding, and then we also had to look for medications, that will aid fertility in dogs. So that was how we had a breakthrough, and then the dog conceived and later.
What kind of food do you use to correct infertility?
Um, well, that's a very broad aspect to deal with, but I'll just summarize. Um, Normally your dog is supposed to be on balanced diet, just like human beings require balanced diet. So dieting is very important when it comes to fertility and breeding. So you must know what kind of food to feed at every stage of a dog's life. So that will help curtail and correct some anomalies in in dogs. So basically, when you talk balanced diet, you're supposed to have a balance between protein, um, carbohydrate, just like in human beings, vitamins and all that. So once you're able to find out the balance in the feeding, then you can sail home free.
Talking about the business, dog breeding as a business, how has been the business so far? And, I mean the achievements and
Okay.
this.
Well, like every other business has its ups and downs. Breeding also has its own ups and downs. One of the downs for breeding is funds. Another down for breeding is, like I said, we don't have institutes, research institutes, that deal with dog related issues. So you have to do all the research by yourself. You have to fund yourself, you have to fund the business. Basically, the challenge in breeding in Nigeria is the aspect of funds, and then the aspect of research, like I said, because we don't have, even where we have proper medications, you don't know how to administer the medications. In fact, we have a problem of dealing with quacks. We have quacks in the business, just like any other business. We have quack vets, we have quack um, breeder, and what have you. So that has always been part of the challenge of breeding. But that has not stopped us from smiling to the bank. Once a while, we do our local thing, and then we're able to, just like Nigerians, no dull moments. We find our ways around it, and we we smile to the bank. So it's so far challenging, but it's so far also rewarding.
Talking about challenges, sir. What's the challenge in feeding and medication? Can you share more light?
Okay, basically, our like I said from onset, if you go to developed countries, you find out that there are research institutes relating to dogs. They have proper hospitals set out for dogs. They have proper veterinary arrangements for dogs and all other animals. But in Nigeria, we're lacking in that aspect, and that has multiplied our problems. It has multiplied our challenges. For instance, um, you need to know the content of food, what food to feed your dog and what food not to feed your dog. But we don't have all those research institutes where there are checks and balances, and then there are advices towards feeding, of your dogs. So it's a lot difficult because a lot of us are doing it either trial by error or over time, from our experiences over time, we were able to come up with stuff, that help our dog. Then on the aspect of medication, like I said, 2019, 2019 to 2020 and 2021 were really challenging years for breeders because, the COVID came and then a lot of vaccines were stalled at the ports, and so when eventually the lockdown were over, those vaccines were released, and instead of being destroyed, a lot of other people, I mean a lot of vets, still administered those vaccines to dogs. And if you will agree with me that the cases of parvo just skyrocketed between 2020 and 2021, and that was the result from the COVID lockdown. In developed countries, I'm very sure that all those vaccines that did not enter the country before lockdowns were destroyed because, of course, some of them had stayed and their cold chain had broken. I particularly had I had issues of parvo, from vaccine administration. Um, some of my dogs took ill because, of course, the cold chain had broken. But of course, because I didn't know and I trusted my source and my vets, he administered and my dogs came down. But um, my greatest joy is that I was able, to battle and I did not have any casualty. So, majorly, our problem is one, quacks, two, lack of honesty. Our medical line, as relates to dog, basically, majority of them are either not properly trained or refuse to be trained, or actually just agree to be wicked. I want to use that word because how would you know that a vaccine cold chain has broken and you still administer those vaccines on dogs because they are not humans and because they don't talk? So it's really, really inhumane, and it's really, really animalistic for you to know that cold chain of the vaccine has broken. And, so we do not have access to technologies, we do not have access to institutional researches, so it's really a problem. It's really a problem.
Okay, okay, sir. Apart from uh, what you said during the COVID era, what's it called? When the vaccine was not properly stored.
Yeah.
Have you had any case of parvovirus? Because I know parvovirus is one of the challenges of with breeders. That's the challenge they face.
Well, like I said, aside of that era, I've never really had an incident of parvo, and that is because I take precautionary measures. For instance, before you step into my kennel, especially when my female just littered, or when I have females that just littered, I do what we call disinfect. I disinfect people who would come into my kennel, and sometimes I even bar people from coming into my kennel because I don't know where exactly you're coming from. So I do preventive kind of strategy, to prevent parvo from coming to my kennel. So aside of that COVID lockdown era, I have not really had parvo situation, but I've helped others who have had, and parvo actually could come as a result of negligence, mostly negligence, negligence and the proper um, um, disinfecting of your environment. You need to know all those things. So as to curtail the parvovirus.
My name is Jonathan. You are watching Ninja.tv. Subscribe to their channel. They are the best. They're the best.
If you're not qualified to own a dog, don't even try it, because it takes time. It demands love. It demands your finances. Sometimes I've had to make sacrifices to the point that I don't have food to eat, but I make sure that my dogs have food to eat. So it demands time. It demands sacrifice. It demands a lot. So my first advice would be that you would have to have love, and what you love, you can sacrifice for. And then, of course, the economical aspect of it is just jarring. It shouldn't be primary. The economic aspect of breeding should not be primary for you, because if it is, then you'll be disappointed along the way. So for me, to young guys and young lads and young ladies who want to go into breeding, first and foremost, you have to have love for breeding, and then you have to be able to sacrifice. You must sacrifice your time, your money, and everything. So that's my advice.
So the young guys that are listening or that are watching, you heard what he said. You need to have love for dog before you start dog. So that when you start this thing, it won't be as if you know that it's your passion, you have passion for this thing. It won't be as a burden onto you. So when you have love for something, you can sacrifice it. Thank you, sir. So how can we reach you, sir? When you want to reach you, let's say online, social media.
Okay, you can reach me on Dogs All on Instagram and on YouTube. Those are the basic platforms where you can. So it's Dogs All on YouTube and on Instagram.
How is it spelled?
Dogzall.
So Instagram at dogs or YouTube at dogs or too. Okay. So your breeding program, do you do store outside store, or your maize are for only your female inside?
Yeah, I do just a few occasions where I've had to do outside studs, and then on that occasion I'd have to scrutinize and be sure that your pitch is pure.
I mean now they have to go and do tests.
Exactly, exactly.
So okay, you can hear him out. Before you start dog, you must have love for dog. I hope you enjoyed this episode. My name is Dipsin Akinwale. You can watch us on YouTube and follow us on Instagram and other social media platforms at Niger Dog TV. We see you again on our next episode. Bye bye. Peace out.
I'm Olukunle Oladepo, the owner of Real Life Kennel. You are watching Niger Dog TV.